Richard A.Muller is an American historical theologian. Life. Muller obtained his B.A. in history from Queens College, City University of New York in 1969, his M.Div. from Union Theological Seminary, New York in 1972, and his Ph.D. in Reformation Studies from Duke University in 1976. He has taught at Fuller Theological Seminary, has been awarded a Mellon postdoctoral research grant and has held the Bell van Zullenleerstoel at Utrecht University. He has served on the editorial boards of 16th Century Journal and Reformation and Renaissance Review. He currently serves as the P.J. Zondervan Professor of Historical Theology and as Senior Fellow of the Junius Institute for Digital Reformation Research at Calvin Theological Seminary in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Work. Muller's research and writing has been largely focused on the reassessment of the development of Protestant thought after the Reformation, with emphasis on the nature and character of Protestant orthodoxy and Reformed scholasticism in the 17th century. Muller is one of the historians credited with setting aside the Calvin against the Calvinists theory of developing Reformed thought. His argument is that the attempt to define the entire Reformed tradition in terms of the thought of Calvin is a historical error, inasmuch as Calvin was one of several second-generation codifiers of the tradition, and inasmuch as the tradition itself was, early on, rather diverse and variegated. The Calvin against the Calvinists thesis tended to claim in a rather reductionistic way that Calvin was a Christocentric theologian in contrast to later Reformed thinkers who had developed a radical predestinarian and deterministic metaphysics. By contrast, Muller has argued that the later Reformed thinkers did not develop a predestinarian system but instead understood theology in terms of a series of biblically and traditionally based loci topics. The thought does differ in places from Calvin's, but the differences are to be explained on the basis of other sources of the Reformed tradition, such as the thought of Martin Bucer, Heinrich Bullinger, Peter Martyr Vermigli, and others, on the basis of alterations in debate and historical context. Works. A dictionary of Latin and Greek theological terms. Christ and the Decree, Christology and Predestination in Reformed Theology from Calvin to Perkins. The Study of Theology. The Unaccommodated Calvin, Studies in the Formation of a Theological Tradition. God, Creation, and Providence in the Thought of Jacob Arminius. Post-Reformation Reformed Dogmatics. The Rise and Development of Reformed Orthodoxy. California. 1520 T0 California. 1725 4 vols. After Calvin, Studies in the Development of a Theological Tradition. Calvin and the Reformed Tradition.